guys, welcome to another weekly mash. As you can see, my buddy Imker is not here with me and I'm holding fort alone. He's currently in China doing just regular quality checks and he will be back next week. But last week he visited with Steve from Hallertau Brewing, and Steve is the owner, also head brewer of Hallertau, and they discussed everything sciencey to do with beer, so be it mashing, pHs, anything sciencey you can think of. And they also discussed what you can do once you have a brew that's maybe not so perfect and how to correct it. So definitely heaps of tips and really interesting.
Hi there, today we're here at Hallertau and we're going to talk about mashing to you because we've had some questions about what exactly mashing is, what it does, going a bit more in depth with it. And behind us is a 2,000 litre mash tun, and it's actually being busy mashing as we speak, so yeah, what better time to talk about it. So yeah, let's get started. So what is it in the most basic form?
Well, mashing is, its fairly concept is pretty simple. It can be a bit daunting to some people. The whole objective is to turn the starch reserves in the grain into sugar. So to do that you need hot water. And before you can mash in, you need to crack the grain open and expose all those starch reserves inside. But you don't want to crack it so much that you form too much powder, because you're relying on that husk to be your filter medium in the actual mash.
Crack, yep.
So a nice crack.
Yeah.
And the temperature of your mash is quite crucial. You want it in the range 65 to 68 degrees, depending on what style of beer you're making.
Yeah.
pH is also important. That enables the enzyme to work properly.
Okay, sure. And how is pH affected? What sort of...
The ideal mash pH is in the 5.2 to 5.4 range. The easiest way to test it at a homebrew level is you can buy pH strips.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
They're not expensive.
Yeah.
Most homebrew shops have them. Dip it in your mash and it'll tell you where you are. So that 5.2 to 5.4 is important to get the enzymes working correctly.
Okay, yeah, sure. And does water have an effect on the pH, the water you use? Or?
It does. The ideal mash minerals is calcium. You really need some calcium in there. That actually helps the enzyme work better as well, and also brings the pH down. So it's quite handy to add a little bit of gypsum, calcium sulfate, or a little bit of calcium chloride as well.
Okay.
You can actually add some calcium carbonate, some chalk, to your darker beers if you want as well.
Okay. Yeah. So one of the first steps of starting a mash is your grains and preparing your grains by crushing it. So you just go a bit into the crush, the preparation of the grains.
Yeah, sure. Milling the grain is the very first step, and it's actually often overlooked. It's pretty important to get that crush exactly right. Too fine, and you're going to get powder and grainy, astringent flavours coming through. And then too coarse, you're just not going to get the extract. As a home brewer, I'd recommend erring on the side of too coarse. The best way to set up your mill is keep putting grain through and tightening up. Make it big, keep putting grain through and tightening it up until you stop getting whole grains. And that's a good point. I've always said as a home brewer, you're better off to be a little bit coarse and have to use a little extra grain rather than over milling and getting lots of powder and a stuck mash.
Yeah.
Then you've got a big mess.
Yeah.
You're making porridge, not making beer.
Sure, yeah. And aside, we've seen some people buying their own mills to do it at home.
Yep.
Is that just something, for them, put in a little bit, mill it, just go set it a bit, and see when you're at that point.
Once you get your own mill, it gives you more control about your process.
Yeah.
It can be good to start off getting your grain milled by the home brew shop. They're a consistent job. Once you've got your own mill, it gives you a bit more control over how you're milling your grain. And grain size does vary season to season and also country to country. New Zealand grains tend to be nice and fat. Some of the German grains can be a little bit skinnier.
Okay.
So you need to be aware of the size of the grain and you can adjust your mill accordingly. Whereas the home brew shops doing that, they tend to just chuck it through and you get what you get.
Yeah, and then you can recirculate, do that, and then next stage is sparging.
Yeah. Once you've mashed in, you generally want to rest it for 30 minutes as a general rule of thumb. At this stage, you can perform what's called a starch test, where you actually test the work to see if any starches are remaining, so to know if there's any conversion left to take place. So all you need is to go to chemist and get a tincture of iodine, or a lot of homebrew shops have it.
Okay.
And that's just a little solution. You get a white plate, put a couple of drops of the word on there, put a couple of drops of iodine, and any starch will turn black.
Okay.
And if there's no starch, it will stay a purple colour. So it's a nice way to test to see if you've got complete conversion in your mash.
Yeah. Okay, I see. Yeah. And do you do that throughout stages of the mash?
No, give it a 30-minute rest, test for starch conversion. If it hasn't had it, wait for another 15 minutes and then test again.
Okay.
Give it a mix, test again. Generally just takes time.
Yeah. Okay, I see. And then when you've had complete conversion?
Yep. Once you've converted, you've got sugar, not starch. You then need to recirculate to get most of the big chunks out, and then you can start running off into fermenter.
Okay.
Once you start running off, you do a thing which is called sparging, which is basically just rinsing the grains of hot water. So it's generally done around 78 degrees, 78 to 80 degrees, and that's just going to rinse all the sugars remaining in the grain, and that can also help with the runoff too. If your mash is a bit sticky, getting some hot water through there will loosen up those sugars as well.
Okay, and is there, can you sparge too hot? Is there
you can, you don't want to sparge over 80 degrees.
Okay.
Because that will start extracting some astringent tannic characters out of that husk. So high 70s, early 80s, you're probably going to be right.
Okay. Oh, so yeah, thanks for taking your time talking to us.
No problem.
And yeah, telling us a bit about what's going on here. So I think the mash is about to finish there. We'll see who's looking for something in there.
Starting the research.
Starting the research. Oh, okay. Cool. So yeah, we'll go see how that goes. But yeah, thanks for your time.
All right, my pleasure.
So heaps of good tips. Thanks so much, Steve. If you want to know about anything brewing related, anything to do with the grain father, any topics that really interest you, just send them through and we will try and get that out to you. Also, any questions, please don't hesitate. Give us a call or email us. We'll be happy to answer. Happy brewing.